Alright, guys, it's that time of year again. Summer has begun, and that means it's time for not E3, since they threw it in the trash bin a while ago. But game companies still use this time of year to make a bunch of game announcements. We have that, what they call it now, Summer Game Fest. It's basically E3 but digital. And all the different companies have their own like little individual things, the State of Plays, the Nintendo Directs, etc. So I've been trying to keep up with all these game announcements and everything the last few weeks, and there is one game that has been announced that I absolutely had to talk about. Because for the first time since, like, what, fucking 2008, we are finally getting a brand new Spyro the Dragon game. So this has been officially announced. It is a new entry in the Spyro series called Spyro A Realm Beyond. So if you followed this channel for a while, you know I'm a big Spyro fan. When I was little, the first real home console I got that didn't, come from a yard sale was a PS1. I had all three of the original Spyro the Dragon games on PS1, and I played the absolute shit out of those when I was little. And I've replayed them since as an adult, and I just love those games. So I've always been a big Spyro fan. Spyro has had a very up and down history, let's say. That original trilogy was definitely the peak of the series. All three of those games are great. After that, in the early 2000s, we had that period where we got a bunch of Spyro games, but a lot of them were like mid at best. We had several entries on the Game Boy Advance. Some of those titles were rushed and just not great. So we had that sort of awkward mid period. Then in the later 2000s, they did the reboot trilogy where we got the Legend of Spyro, which I've never actually played any of the Legend of Spyro games myself, so I don't know a ton about those. I've heard very mixed things about them as well. But then it sort of went dormant for a while, and again, we got eventually the Skylanders series, which sort of absorbed Spyro into it. Which I know a lot of people have a stick up their ass about Skylanders for whatever reason. But I've always liked Skylanders. I like the whole concept of the Toys to Life thing. I know some people complain about it being overpriced DLC or whatever. But I'm the kind of guy who collects figures anyway. So having a figure collecting element that also ties in with the games is just something that's right up my alley. So I always thought that was cool. Should there have been a way to maybe unlock all those characters without having to buy all the figures? Yeah, probably. But Skylanders is always a cool thing to me, and I kind of wish we still had something like that going now. But yeah, we had the Skylander era, which had Spyro in it, but wasn't totally focused on him. And then once Skylanders ended, things kind of went dormant for Spyro again, until a few years ago when we got the Reignited trilogy, which was, of course, the remakes of the original three PS1 Spyro titles. And we haven't gotten anything since then. So now we are finally getting this new game. We did get a trailer for this that was very short. I'll have the link to it in the description if you want to check it out. There's not really much to see. It's only a little over a minute long. And most of that was just like cinematic stuff. Design-wise, it does look in line with, the visuals of the Reignited trilogy. So I would assume that this game, like story-wise, is going to follow those three games and kind of just ignore everything else. But again, we don't really have any hard info, so who knows. Gameplay-wise, the trailer only had about like 5 seconds or so of actual gameplay footage, so there wasn't much to glean from that. It did show Spyro flying around and shooting flames and stuff a little bit, but, it's not really much to go on. So we have very little info about this game. They did say that it is planned to come out in spring of 2027, so still a ways off. And it is going to be multi-platform. It's coming to the Xbox Series, PS5, Switch 2, and PC via Steam. So it is going to be on pretty much everything. Even though Xbox owns Activision now, which owns Spyro. Which I maintain that while Sony was throwing their whole shit fit about the whole Activision buyout thing, that was mostly over Call of Duty. I maintain that they should have been throwing a fit trying to get Spyro and Crash Bandicoot away from Activision and own those IPs, as opposed to, bitching about Call of Duty. Now, obviously, I understand that Call of Duty makes astronomically more money than Spyro or Crash ever could, but both Spyro and Crash have kind of been almost PlayStation mascots at different points over the years. So having those under someone else's banner seems like a bigger deal to me. I would have been trying to get those and make those PlayStation exclusives. Not that it really ended up being that relevant anyway, since Microsoft is releasing everything multi-plat now anyway. I know the new Indian chick who's in charge of Xbox now is talking about maybe focusing more on exclusives again, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But yeah, all that aside, it is going to be on pretty much every platform, so you can have your choice of your preference as far as that goes. Now, the only other real info about this game we have is that it is being developed by Toys for Bob, which is the same company that did the Skylanders games as well as the Spyro Reignited trilogy. So I think generally they do a pretty good job. I think they do have it in them to make a good Spyro game. I am very concerned. After the last few years, I've got to the point where I pretty much prevent myself from getting overly hyped about anything before it comes out, especially after the whole downfall of Pokemon. So I'm trying not to get too excited here, but I do love the idea of us getting a new good Spyro game. I hope it does end up being good. Like I said, I think Toys for Bob has it in them to make a good Spyro game. So I am really, really hoping that this turns out well. Toys for Bob, please, please, I'm begging you. If you're going to do this, please do it right. Please, please do it right. Spyro has had enough mid to bad games in his series. We need a new Spyro, and we need it to be top tier. So I really hope things work out well with this. Who knows when we'll get any more information on this. It is, like I said, quite a bit a ways to actual release. So I don't know when we're going to get any more info, but I am going to be keeping an eye on this closely. And hopefully everything turns out well. As for me, I still haven't gotten around to playing the fucking Reignited trilogy. I've had that for a long ass time and still haven't played it. I used to make jokes about my ever-growing backlog, but now it's kind of gone from funny to just sad. So I'm doing the best I can, people. I'll get to it eventually. Hopefully I can get to it before this comes out. Not that I'm probably going to get it at launch anyway, because it's probably going to be at least $70, and I ain't paying $70 for any standard edition game. I maintain that position to this day. But yeah, a pretty cool announcement, something I really wasn't expecting, and something I was glad to hear. But again, hopefully, I'm really hoping this turns out good, and I am a little bit concerned that it won't be just because of the overall track record of the gaming industry in general over the last several years. But if we can get a good new Spyro game next year, that will really, really be awesome. So anyway, I guess that's all I got to say. So lots of luck to you and yours.